Welcome back to Torment. Alright, now that we've dealt with the situation concerning the Nycthemeron, let's explore the Circus Minor a little more.
Naturally.
The Genocide. Interesting.
Ready.
Let us speak to the Genocide. What is this? This burly, armor-clad figure stands almost motionless as you approach. He regards you silently through his singular eye. The studs on his arms and the blades on his shoulders are stained and pitted with age. When he speaks, his voice is muffled and artificial, a hollow grumble that emanates from the entirety of the helmet. I am the Genocide. If you ask, I must answer. Pass on, then, and exchange no words. His surface thoughts are like a crystal pool, alternately transparent or else perfectly reflecting his words. His mind reveals nothing hidden except for a low-level hatred of everything around it. This latter is more a feeling that you get than an actual thought that you hear. What are you? I am a blade that cannot cut, a weapon that cannot strike, a living monument to failure. He shifts his weight. You hear the frown in his voice. I was Ogesti Telkotu, the firm hand of tradition. They called me one of the Black Three. Enemies did not understand us. They took my name to mean death in a dozen distinct tongues, called me Orphan Maker, Hope Smasher, Death's Child. My armies blackened the earth and the skies. My dragoliths scoured the land. Domination was my duty. If they had known, if they had welcomed us, they might have been our thralls. Instead, they became dust. Gestures. All this, it was to have been mine in stewardship for the future of my people. It was promised, but now, his arms fall back to its side. Now I am the Genocide, a relic, the last of my kind. You said you had to answer if I asked. Why? From within the helmet you hear a grinding noise, the sound of teeth gnashing, amplified. Then the voice again, bleak. We sat at the river's edge and we wept for the time that was. We saw nothing more to conquer, and yet our fears still drove us. We had conquered the land, purged its impurities, made it ours. Still we wanted more. When we heard that humans had come to carve a home, we rejoiced that to have a new foe, a new test of our truth. We rode against them. We drove them to the forge of the night sky, to the valley of Mirajolios, to the dangers of the Black Riage. But those who built atop those ruins, they thwarted us, time and again. And so we brought our constructs and our deadliest warriors to the bay outside the city. We laid a mighty siege. We entered the human settlement. We fought past barricades and traps. Some of our constructs are still here, silent and dead. But when we thought we had achieved our greatest victory, he lowers his head. Powerful Nano saved them. With his magics, he called upon the strength of the ancients and captured us. I thought my life was at an end, but he imprisoned me in slow time, trapped me in my body, used machines to paralyze my will. I still remember our glories, and I see the faded future in front of me, and I am powerless to act. The memories of our triumphs remain always at the forefront of my mind, and I must answer the mocking questions of these people, or suffer. Can you tell me about the Nano who trapped you here? How did he stop you? The Genocide raises his hands in defeat. He found old knowledge and made it his own. He created defenses that we could not penetrate. Most telling, most effective, the shield generators. He created 3 barriers around the heart of the city, and the last unmoored the city in time. When our constructs touched it, they flashed to stasis. We could not reach the city, but the city could reach us. You feel the tickling of memory as the Genocide speaks of the shields. He continues to talk, oblivious. Let the memory come. It's a patchy memory, coming in still images and moments. The relentless beat of the war machine as they approach the city. The reavers in the sky on their dirigibles. You remember fighting them on the parapet. You remember fleeing into the safety of the city. You recall making your way to the shield generators, cutting off the Tabat supply lines. And then the memory fades. The Genocide watches you silently. The Nano who defeated you was the changing god. He and his children still live. His voice is flat and dead. Others have claimed this. I do not know if they say this to torment me, but if our enemy was a god, even if he was once but a man, then to stand against him is to spit in the face of the divine. The Tabat were a holy people. Humans do not believe it, but our rites were as sacred to us as they were profane to your kind. We accepted the will of the ineffable. Any who still live may yet find the mantle of godhood. To be divine is to be beyond the rule of mortal ethics. Those who would be gods must cast aside these concerns if they are to turn against the old teachings. You mentioned the Tabat. Who or what were they? My people, his voice is forlorn. Great warriors, we owned this land. We served the underspine, and it served us. We sought truth and victory. We ascended to epiphany. We were pure, incorruptible, indivisible, even in disunity. We found strength in one another and proved it with bloody blades. But we fell, and the underspine fell, and so, too late, we learned a new truth. But I carry the old ways as a seed within my heart. Why did the Tabat fight so much? For honor, for truth, for the one way. Because it was our duty. We were born to the blade, so it was written, so we chose. Free will is a curse unless given to a greater purpose. Our purpose was given to us by the underspine, given to the underspine by our ancestors who found it and crystallized our essence forever. Can you tell me about the underspine? Our slave, our god, our prize. It kept us holy, kept us pure and unchanging, anchored to a fixed point. The world turned around us, but we remained constant. When the world brought inconsistency, we fed it blood. He pauses. The underspine was our soul, our confessor. We knew clean, hard rapture from it. We knew our path. It gave us the words of the ancient Tabat, and our path was rigid and unbending. Absolute. What was the underspine? He considers. You would not understand. It was a machine. It was a stone. It was a cavern. It was a city. It was the direct voice of our ancestors. It spoke in our heads and in our ears and in our hearts. We heard its voice in our crutches, in our daily instructions. Our God was true and strong and singular, not the fickle, inconsistent things of the modern day. So what's the benefit of an absolute path? We had no questions about our duty, about our goals, only the particulars. We erased doubts in the purity of utter certainty. Questions raised are questions answered, or they are heresy. No need for self-agony. The necessity of introspection was transmuted into optimization of our paths, into fashioning ourselves into the pinnacle of our achievement. Clear definition in life creates truth, not this pitiful shadow. So what happened to the underspine? You could hear the frown in his voice. Sabotage or failure. One of those under my command told me that it had whispered defeat into his ears, as if it had sickened, lost sight of the true path. Given the question, the underspy denied this. My soldier was cast out, and I suffered the barb for his doubt. It was later, years later, that the underspine broke, after our failure. And I have never been sure if the seeds of our defeat were planted in those days. If your path was unbending, it's no wonder you broke. I do not bend now. I have been driven down, but I do not bend. I live, and those stood against me are dead. He turns away from you slightly. Do you have more questions, or do you release me? You mentioned the shield generators. Can you tell me about them? I told you their effect. They unmoored the city in time. They severed our supply lines. They left us vulnerable and defeated us. The underspine strategy failed us. I began to doubt. He shook slightly. The generators are unused, abandoned, their purpose forgotten. Though the people of this city still swear by our name, and our terrors are fresh in their nightmares despite the passage of centuries, they have forgotten the means of their salvation. This one, beside me, no longer functions, but one of the others is buried in the ground, not far from here, and has not yet failed. It powers the clock around which those ridiculous fools prance. You said you were the last of your kind. Why? I know of no others. Kalagat Anvor, he who shares truth and understanding, is dead. Vastulech, lo, the blinding light of reason, was destroyed. The underspine has fallen. My people are destroyed utterly, and our servant God speaks to us no longer. The clean lines of order and the glory of battle have forsaken us. He pauses. The rest are dust. We rose against a superior foe, and were outmatched. Only I remain to tell the story of the Tabab. So how did they stop you from trying to escape? The Nano who raised the city's shields created a device. He called it the Mind Seer. With it, he violated my mind, my memories, and everything that was at the core of my being. In a fit of vengeance, he tore truths from me. He made me betray my people. He rewrote my mind. He gave me perfect clarity into the past and gelded my ability to shape the future. The Tabat never sought revenge against foes who were mightier than we. We devised stratagems to defeat them. We tested ourselves. We did not punish or hate. Punishment was purification. This, though, is torture. The worst of the city's refuse can mock me now. They can ridicule and jape, and I am powerless to strike them for their impudence. Then, quieter. And now, they do not even do that. I have become a fixture, an irrelevance, a non-entity. I am the slave too. You hear his teeth grinding as he thinks of the perfect insult. To peacemakers, I must endure their presence and feel their corruption sink into me daily. Some foreign part of me desires it. He thumps his fist into his hand, but I remember that I will triumph over them. Eventually they will die, and I will not.
Fine.
This machine towers above you like a dagger driven into the ground by a giant. It seems much older than the surrounding buildings. Your hands itch to touch the array of dark panels scattered around the machine, as though they haven't touched them before. Do I want to spend that much to get a good chance to go 50-50? Or a very small chance to spend nothing? Wow, I succeeded. Critical success too. Stat pool spent on effort restored. Nice. Well, I didn't spend any on effort, but okay. You close your eyes to better concentrate, sinking into the currents of a memory that does not belong to you, or at least not to the body you are in, and you hear the thunderous heartbeat of the operational generator calling you from across centuries. You open cold, focused eyes, ignoring the screams, the drifting tangles of black smoke. Your attention is solely focused on the health of the machine's heartbeat. You reached into the hissing guts of the generator, adjusting and tuning, hoping. The heartbeat fades into the past. Your hand, your body's hand, rests on the rusty surface of the long, dead generator. Examine it. Your hands slip over the cobbled together components and greasy cables, the buttons worn by frequent use. It is a strange accomplishment, this machine. Clumsy but deft, amateurish but masterful. Only a brilliant mind could have melded so many disparate parts into a functional device. Unfamiliar memories whisper to you. This device was used, though you don't know how, to generate a field that unmoored everything within it from time itself. Your fingers scrape a rough patch. Lifting them, you see a Cercinet symbol etched into the side like a maker's mark. A tangle of mismatched parts make up this once functional generator. Once again, you notice the Cercinet symbol etched into the side like a maker's mark.
Let's go.
A jumble of boulders and debris lie at the foot of the surrounding cliffside. The broken remains of ancient devices lie amongst the fallen stone, while off to one side, a metallic canister sticks out of the top of the pile. It appears mostly intact. Leaning over, you notice that the canister is hollow, with an opening in the top providing full access to the interior. A quick glance reveals that it is empty. While most of the canister is relatively intact, a small part of its exterior has been pried open, exposing delicate mechanisms. Let me examine the rocks before I do anything. Let's see how stable they are. You notice a slight gleam as the light hits some of the rocks at just the right angle. You lean closer. Tiny mechanical devices are embedded in the rock. A quick search of the rest of the pile reveals that only a small percentage of the rocks are more than they appear. Alright, let's try our quick fingers here. I have a pretty good chance if I drain my speed pool highly. My chance is going to be better than hers. Let's go for it. Failed. You attempt to get at more of the device's interior via the panel, but just as the panel comes free, several of the components fall out and disintegrate before your eyes. Nothing much of value remains after that. You recover a few interesting components and a decent amount of ships. Try putting rocks in the canister. You scoop up a handful of the remaining smaller rocks and place them in the canister, but nothing happens. You can try smashing the stones. Let's go with... I don't know if this is really worth it. I'm not going to spend any more. And failed. You tried bashing a few of the stones with other larger stones from the pile, but only managed to chip off useless bits of rock. You pick up a large rock and bring it down with all your might on a stone you haven't tried yet. Upon impact, you are blinded by a flash of light and a deafening sound. When you can see again, the stones have all been pulverized to fine dust. Oh, I still got something out of it. You notice the severed finger lying on the ground. Your eyes dart to your hands, but all 10 of your digits appear to be intact. You pocket the gruesome trophy. Gained item. Press the digitator. +1 training in quick fingers. Oh, it's a cipher. Nice. Oh, it's a permanent. Oh, I'm definitely going to consume this then. Inside a small, well-made box, you find a finger resting lightly on the velvet bedding. The humanoid finger has been partially hollowed out. Synth wiring courses through it, keeping the skin taut. Peculiar pictographs decorate the matte black box. A humanoid, after having eaten the finger, performs feats of juggling, drawing, and playing a violin. An additional set of cautionary pictographs greatly discourages severing a finger and placing the prestidigitator in its stead. Oh, so by using it, I'm going to eat the finger? Ew, but screw it. Delicious finger. So my quick fingers is now special. It's nice. So I have a +30 bonus now. Nice. Good times. Experience, not bad. Performer and some children. I doubt I can interact with the performer, but let's see. Behold. Is this person floating or are they standing there? Whoa! It's like a robed beholder or something. A creature floats before you, hidden inside the bulk of its armor, cloth robes, unmoving and unmoved by your presence. Exactly who or what the thing is, man or machine, mutant or monster, is impossible to discern. Its glass face reveals nothing but your reflection. Its mechanical voice reveals nothing at all. You recall that this creature is known as a Philethis, but you don't know anything else about them. Exquisite, the Philethis grates, in greeting perhaps, or perhaps lost in its own inscrutable thoughts. The Philethis are said to have vast knowledge of the mysteries of the Ninth World and the Numenera of ages past. But prying those secrets loose can be a fool's errand. The creature's thoughts are as obscure as its glass face. It's as though it weren't even there. Well, I'll return the compliment, I guess. You are exquisite as well. Got me some gold tide. A sound like the grinding of drip-filled gears is the thing's only response. For a moment, that stretches uncomfortably. You feel the cold scrutiny of the Philethis upon you. At last, it speaks again. The sun cannot warm the vastness between the worlds. It's talking about interstellar space, or just the Philethis' implacable glass gaze bores through your skin and sees more than others do, and it seems to be seeking something from you. What do you want from me? The Philethis ponders silently until at last it asks, when you faced Koro, why did you not step first with your left foot? I don't think I really stepped at all. I mostly resolved that with words. Balance, probably. The Philethis accepts your answer in silence. Then after a long pause replies, in his vault, the Cloven One reads from his great book to his disciples. He sleeps and awakens and has forgotten his place in the grimoire. He begins anew. The book is part of him, and he has no legs and takes no steps. It is his own self from which he reads. It is his own self that is incomplete. It is his own self that binds him in the vault of his own mind. Do you know anything about the sorrow and the resonance chamber built by the changing God? Silence lingers long, until at last the Philethis speaks. I know it shall be three. I know the first cannot be trusted. I know one changes as you change. I know they seek an undoing. Its glass face storms, but the Philethis says no more. Well, let's try to persuade it to tell us about itself. Well, if I go all out, I get 75. She has a starting value of 9, but actually has lower percentages. Probably because she doesn't have persuasion skill. Alright, let's do this. Nice. The Abatrol whistles while it runs, a fearful sound, perhaps even for the Abatrol. Apparently, this is what passes for effusiveness in a Philethis. Please, tell me about yourself in a way that I can understand. No. Well, I guess I'm in the wrong. I don't have the right type to force it. Alright, it is what it is. Have you been following me? In memory, cause follows effect. In rain, the colors run. A long rumble suggests that the Philethis has more to say, but nothing emerges. What more do you want from me? When the Philethis at last answers, its mechanical voice seems to creak. You did not accept your fall. When you are served the bitter root, will you eat? I'm assuming when I finally die. In a way, this is asking me if I'm like the changing God. I'm assuming the bitter root is death. And the changing God did not eat. The changing God refused to die, found a way. I'm not like the changing God. When it is finally time for me to die, I think I will accept that and die. The Philethis is silent, showing neither satisfaction nor dismay at your response. Okay, I got some gold and a little bit of indigo. Why are you so interested in my choices? In its slow rumble, the Philethis replies, "They are not yours." Do you have any more questions for me? Its words so rushed they almost jumbled together, the Philethis asks. When you stood in the place of shifting floors, which way did your shadow fall? Does it mean the place inside my mind? With the, basically where I woke up before I went back into the real world or the material world? I really don't know. I don't think I'm going to guess. I have no idea. No clue type. A long rumble echoes from inside the Philethis' robes, changing at last words. In the village of Thome, it is written, the Aramite Alagazer descended deep into the darkness, for he could not bear to see his shadow. Do you have still more questions? No. What do your questions mean? What do you want? Yes. The single flat word lingers in the air until the Philethis adds, what is the answer? Perhaps the thing wants you to answer your own question. You want to understand why I have done what I have done. The Philethis accepts your answer silently, giving no clue as to what passes within its impervious robes, behind its impenetrable mask. At last, the thing replies, the nose does not smell with words. Silvertide. Okay, well. As you step away, the Philethis swivels to keep its glass face trained upon you.
Yes. Now.
This structure is embedded in the ground. It was clearly not made by the same people who built Circus Minor. It looks as though the device extends deeper into the ground, below the road. Weathered runes are spread across the device's surface. Well, you can't do anything with it. Ah, there's the cult of the changing god. Let's not talk to them just yet. Explore a little more of this area.
I'm going. Yes.
In this world, then.
A mutant. Hello, Mr. Mutant. The sun is nourishing today, is it not?
All right.
Yeah, I guess. There's another one of these devices.
Yes. Now.
Alright, same as before. Can't do anything with it. Embedded in the cliff wall is a massive structure that clearly predates the buildings that surround it.
Yes. Now.
I think before I speak to the cult of the changing gods, since I'm with Kalistej, I'll go talk to the Order of Truth first, since that's where she wants to take me. I will talk to these people eventually, though.
With alacrity.
So down here I could leave the area. What if I go across the bridge? Does that also leave the area? Seems so.
Yes.
Alright, so I've explored in both these directions. Explored everything down here.
Yes.
Well, if I go up these steps, that probably... Look out! It's one of the Death Cheater's vessels. Oh, they saw me. How can it be? What fortune, what joy. Casmid will want to see you, vessel, and Mimian too. And you will, eventually.
Of course.
It is done.
This leaves the area too. Okay. So, what I have left to do is either talk to Casmid and Mimian, which I will eventually, or leave the area and go somewhere else in the city. Which is what I think I'm gonna do. Alright, so we'll leave off here, and next time, I wonder if this is gonna bring up a map.
Yes.
Or does it just take me to a new area? No, it just takes me to a new area. I'm assuming this is Government Square. Alright, either way, we'll leave off here. And next time we'll explore this new area, which I'm assuming is Government Square.